to present a poem. What shall I do?
What will you do? Is this a question? Show that you know the poem and remind them what a poem it is. Well, you know what you must do. Go. Confront the problem. Fight. Win. And call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.
Welcome to the Poetry Dojo,
where we learn to know our poems.
And learn to wield them to fight and win.
Today we are considering Amoretti, Sonnet 1 by Edmund Spenser.
Edmund Spenser was an Elizabethan poet, which means that he lived during the time of Elizabeth I. He was born in 1552 and died in 1599. He is often celebrated as the poet's poet, if not C.S. Lewis. And he successfully bridged the classical traditions with the English vernacular, earning a royal pension from Queen Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. He was a big fan of Queen Elizabeth. His most famous work is, of course, The Faerie Queen, which I believe was C.S. Lewis's area of expertise in his scholarship at Oxford. C.S. Lewis apparently was not such a big fan of Spenser's sonnets. Didn't think he was one of the great sonneteers,
Ouch.
As the word is, I suppose. But he's a fairly Protestant poet, is Spenser.
He was not of noble birth, but he secured scholarships that sent him to the Merchant Taylors' School. He later studied at Pembroke College in Cambridge, earning his Bachelor's of Arts in 1573 and his Master's in 1576, 3 years later.
His Amoretti sonnets were written for his second wife. His first wife passed away and he married again. And he wrote sort of in the Petrarchan style, but not quite, which is why we call his sonnets in the Spenserian style.
It's a Spenserian yes. sonnet.
Yeah, the Petrarchan sonnet, it's a specific rhyme scheme, of course. You've got 3 quatrains and a couplet, but also typical of the Petrarchan style is this concept of courtly love, which you can think of as kind of a celebrity crush, where it has nothing to do with your actual life, but you're going to pick someone who's afar off, who's unattainable, and then write about them as if they're unattainable and they're going to be your muse and you're never going to actually talk to them or like think of marrying them. They're too high above you for that. So that's courtly love, and that's big in Renaissance poetry and music. That's an important concept. So it's notable that Spenser is actually writing these sonnets for his wife. They're not for this celebrity crush who is afar off, but for someone who's very close to him. And I think they're very sweet in that respect.
Amoretti 1 by Edmund Spenser. Happy ye leaves, when, as those lily hands which hold my life in their dead doing might, shall handle you, and hold in love's soft bands, like captives, trembling at the victor's sight. And happy lines, on which with starry light those lamping eyes will deign sometimes to look, and read the sorrows of my dying sprite, written with tears in heart's close bleeding book. And happy rhymes bathed in the sacred brook of Helicon, whence she derived is. When ye behold that angel's blessed look, my soul long lacked food, my heaven's bliss. Leaves, lines, and rhymes, seek her to please alone, whom, if ye please, I care for other none. Amoretti 1 by Edmund Spenser. This sonnet serves as the prologue to his sonic sequence dedicated to his wife, and leaves pieces of paper.
The pages of the book.
Pages of the book. Lines.
The lines of poetry.
And the rhymes, obviously.
The ends of the lines of poetry.
The ends of the lines of poetry. And he is looking forward to her holding the book, reading the book, and hopefully liking the book, wherein he conveys his love for her.
Yeah, the 3 quatrains structure, we have the pages, the lines, and the rhymes, and the final couplet calls back to those 3 sections. With the first 2, he's imagining his love responding to the poems, and the poems responding to his love. And it's quite a beautiful concept, is this interaction between what is written and the reader. Not just for love poetry, although I think specifically for that, especially for that. But anytime you're writing for someone else to read, you hope that there is some sort of bond built between what is read and who is reading.
Whatever C.S. Lewis might have said, I find the Spenserian sonnet particularly challenging on the rhyming scheme, because he has to stay on a rhyme, a rhyming sound, a rhyming ending for longer than you would have to do on a Shakespearean sonnet or a Petrarchian sonnet. It's A, B, then B gets reused. B, C, then C gets reused. C, D, and only then do you get to the end E. So whereas hands and bands, we only get used once, but you got might, sight, light, sprite. He's having to come up with a lot of rhymes to carry him all the way to the end. And they need to contribute musically to the concepts, the ideas that he is conveying in his prose.
Yeah, as we said, leaves are the pages of the book. Lamping eyes. This is kind of unfortunate because I always think of Smeagol's eyes, which are
shining eyes.
They're shining.
We'll talk about
shining eyes.
A young lady's shining eyes.
Yes. Sprite is a variation on the word spirit. We kind of think of a sprite as a more playful fairy for that same reason. The fairy was another way of conceiving of a spirit. So he's talking about his own spirit.
And Helicon.
Helicon, yes. This is traditionally the home of the 9 muses in Greek mythology, is this mountain, Mount Helicon. There's 2 springs on that, and the mountain and the springs are considered the source of poetic inspiration.
So of those 2 springs, one is a sacred brook from whence she is derived.
Mm-hmm. So he is pointing to her as his muse, because he's saying she's from Mount Helicon. The scanning of this poem is really interesting. If you go through and identify where the accents are, it gives you a little bit more familiarity with which words not only receive the poetic emphasis, but which words receive greater weight of meaning.
Of Helicon, when she derived is. Modern times, we crush the ED on a past tense, and so it becomes derived. However,
which loses us a syllable in this.
It is a syllable.
Yeah.
So of Helicon, whence she derived is.
So the one word that catches my attention on that front is bathed. Happy rhymes, bathed in the sacred brook. He doesn't accentuate the ED.
Yeah, he wants that E gone, so he actively takes it out.
So it kind of lengthens the word and gives it a more indulgent feel, that these rhymes are just basking and bathing in the water of Elizabeth Boyle's attention.
And it is a promise at its close. If she is pleased by his love, then he turns away from the rest of the world, satisfied only to have her love. Whom, if ye please, I care for other none. You
could also read that as being addressed to the poetry. If you satisfy her, I don't need to write any more poetry. I care for other none.
C.S. Lewis would rejoice.
Thank you for tuning in. This has been a DieCast Media Group production. Please recommend us to friends, family, relations, and C.S. Lewis. Feel free to email us with questions at poetrydojo@diecastmediagroup.com. Probably don't recommend us to C.S. Lewis, seeing as he's passed on.
Yes.
But tune in next time for another exciting episode and another fine poem.